Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I love solo camping. The quiet, the solitude. Everything about it helps me escape from the noise of everyday life. But after what happened last summer, I don't think I'll ever camp alone again. It was late August when I decided to take a short trip into the woods. I had been feeling restless, caught up in the usual grind of work and responsibilities, and I just needed a break. A weekend by myself, surrounded by nothing but trees and silence, seemed like the perfect way to reset my mind. I chose a remote spot near a lake deep in a national forest that didn't get many visitors. The kind of place where cell service was non-existent and the nearest town was miles away. It was exactly what I was looking for. The hiking was peaceful, and by late afternoon, I had my tent pitched near the water. The lake was still, its surface like glass reflecting the darkening sky. I made a small fire, cooked a simple meal, and sat back to enjoy the quiet. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. It started around midnight. I was sitting by the fire, lost in my own thoughts, when I noticed something strange. Across the clearing, about 50 yards away, was another tent. It hadn't been there earlier. I was sure of it. It was small, dark-colored, and zipped shut. No light inside, no signs of movement. Just there. I frowned, trying to remember if I had seen anyone else on the trail. I hadn't, and I definitely would have noticed if someone had set up camp that close to me. For a moment, I considered calling out, but something stopped me. There was an unnatural stillness about the tent. No rustling of gear, no flickering of a flashlight inside. It just sat there in the dark, like it had been dropped into existence while my back was turned. I told myself that someone must have quietly set up while I wasn't paying attention. Maybe another solo camper like me. Maybe they preferred the silence. Still, unease settled in my stomach like a stone. I turned in for the night, but sleep didn't come easily. I kept listening for sounds from the other tent. Footsteps, movement, anything. There was nothing. Then, at around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. I wasn't sure why at first. Just a deep, primal sense that something wasn't right. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Soft, slow, moving in deliberate circles around my tent. I froze, my body rigid beneath my sleeping bag. My mind raced through possibilities. An animal? No, these were human footsteps. I held my breath, listening. Whoever it was, they weren't in a hurry. They took their time, their steps careful and measured, like they wanted me to know they were there. Then silence. I stayed perfectly still, my pulse hammering in my ears. I wanted to believe they had left, but I couldn't be sure. Minutes passed, maybe an hour. I wasn't keeping track. Finally, when I couldn't take the tension anymore, I unzipped the tent just a fraction, just enough to see outside. The second tent was gone. My breath caught in my throat. I fumbled for my flashlight and shined it toward where the tent had been. Nothing. Just an empty patch of flattened grass. No footprints. No sign that anyone had ever been there. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I just sat there, flashlight in hand, staring at the darkness, waiting for something, anything, to happen. When the first light of dawn crept over the trees, I packed my gear as fast as I could. I didn't even bother eating. I just wanted to be out of there. The whole hike back, I felt like I was being watched. like something had followed me, just out of sight. When I finally reached my car, I threw my pack in the trunk and got in, locking the doors before I even started the engine. As I pulled away, I glanced back at the tree line one last time. There, standing at the edge of the woods, was a figure, not moving, not waving, just standing there, watching me leave. I don't know who or what set up that tent, but I know one thing. It wasn't there when I arrived, and no one ever left the campsite. Story 2. I never believed in ghosts. Not really. Not in the way that makes you check under your bed before you sleep or keeps the closet door cracked open just a little. But I believe now. After what happened in those woods, I don't have a choice. I was 17 when it happened. My cousin Liam and I had planned a weekend camping trip up in the mountains, just the two of us. We'd done it before, packing our backpacks with cheap freeze-dried meals, stuffing our sleeping bags into tight rolls, arguing about who had to carry the heavier load. It was supposed to be fun. It wasn't. The hike was harder than I remembered. The trail wound higher and higher, and the trees grew denser as we climbed, their branches gnarled like old hands stretching toward us. By the time we reached the clearing, the sun was a molten smear in the sky, bleeding red and orange across the horizon. We set up camp near the edge of a steep hill, our fire crackling in the growing dark. It was quiet, too quiet. At first, I thought it was just the usual forest stillness, the way the world settles when night takes over. But then, the quiet became something else. It pressed against me. It listened. Liam noticed it too. "You hear that?" he asked. I frowned. "Hear what?" "Exactly. There were no crickets, no owls, no rustling in the underbrush. The usual nighttime symphony of the forest had gone silent, like everything was holding its breath. That's when the whispering started. Soft, low murmurs curling through the trees. The wind, I told myself. Just the wind. But the sound had a shape, a rhythm, like words spoken just beneath the range of understanding. I turned my flashlight toward the trees, but the beam sliced through nothing but empty branches. Liam laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that didn't have any humor in it. "Creepy as hell," he muttered, poking at the fire with a stick. "Hope we don't wake up with some backwoods lunatics staring into our tent." "Yeah," I said. "That'd be—" A branch snapped. Liam and I both froze. The sound came from just beyond the fire's reach, deep in the trees. I turned my flashlight again, slowly sweeping the beam across the undergrowth. Nothing, just trees, stretching tall and silent. Liam exhaled. "Probably a deer." "Yeah." Neither of us believed that. We didn't talk much after that. Just sat there, letting the fire die down until it was nothing but glowing embers. Then we crawled into the tent, zipped ourselves inside, and tried to sleep. I woke up to Liam shaking my arm. "Wake up," he whispered, his voice strange. "Thin." I groaned, rolling over. "What? What's wrong?" He didn't answer right away. His hand tightened on my arm. "Look up," he finally said. I did, and I stopped breathing. There was a man hanging from the tree above our tent. Not hanging, floating. He dangled in midair, limbs limp, head slumped forward at an impossible angle. His neck was bent as if it had been broken, but there was no rope. Nothing holding him there. Just empty air between his body and the branch above. I wanted to move, wanted to scream, but my body wouldn't listen. The only sound was the pounding of my own heartbeat, loud and insistent. Then he swayed, a slow, unnatural movement, as if some invisible force had given him a gentle push. I scrambled backward, yanking Liam with me, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts. I grabbed the flashlight and aimed it at him. The beam hit his face. He opened his eyes. A slow, dragging motion, the lids peeling back to reveal something that wasn't human. The whites were gray, the pupils stretched too wide. His mouth twitched, lips curling upward in the kind of grin that belongs to something that doesn't understand how smiles work. That's when we ran. We tore out of the tent, into the dark, our feet barely touching the ground. The forest was a blur of twisted shapes and clawing branches, but we didn't stop. Not until we reached the car, gasping, shaking, our hands fumbling with the keys. We didn't talk on the drive home. What was there to say? The next day, after hours of convincing ourselves that we were just seeing things, we decided to go back with Liam's dad and his friend, just to grab our stuff, just to prove that there was a logical explanation for whatever we saw. Everything was still there. Our bags, our cooking gear, the half-burned logs from the fire, everything except the tent. In its place, tied to the tree, was a single length of old, rotting rope, as if something had been hanging there. We never went back. And sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and the shadows stretch just a little too long, I hear the whispering again, like the wind, like a voice, calling my name. Story 3. I was 14 the summer we went camping near an old logging trail, deep in the woods. My dad had picked the spot because it was quiet, isolated, real camping, he called it. Just trees, dirt, and the sound of the wind. No campgrounds, no other people, just us. It was me, my older brother Jack, and Dad. We hiked most of the day, reaching a small clearing just before sunset. The woods stretched out in every direction, thick and endless. The air smelled of damp leaves and pine, and the only sound were the distant call of some bird and the occasional snap of twigs beneath our boots. The first night was fine, peaceful even. We built a fire, roasted hot dogs, and talked until the flames burned low. By midnight, we crawled into our tent, the fabric rustling as we zipped ourselves inside. I fell asleep fast, lulled by the quiet. But the second night, that was different. It started with laughter, distant at first, faint, like the wind had carried it from far away. But then it came again, closer, high-pitched, giggling, the sound of a child. I looked at Jack, who was staring into the fire, his face pale in the flickering light. "Did you hear that?" I asked. He nodded. Yeah, Dad had heard it too. He grabbed the flashlight and shone it toward the trees. "Hello," he called. "Someone out there?" Nothing, just the sound of the wind through the branches. The fire crackled, sending sparks into the dark. Jack forced a laugh, shaking his head. Probably just an animal. I nodded, but I didn't believe it. The sound we'd heard, that wasn't a fox or a coyote or any animal I knew. We tried to ignore it. Went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. My skin itched with unease, my ears strained for any sound. And then, just outside the tent, footsteps. Soft, slow, pressing into the dirt. I held my breath. The canvas of the tent was thin, and I could see the shadows outside. The fire had burned low, but there was enough glow left to make out a shape. Small, human, a child. It just stood there. I couldn't move. My throat felt tight, like I'd swallowed something too big. I nudged Jack with my foot, barely able to whisper, "Dude, there's someone standing outside." He woke up instantly, his body tensing. We stared at the shadow, at the shape of it. Neither of us dared to speak. Then it crouched down. The shape shifted, bending, its head tilting an unnatural angle. The canvas of the tent barely separated us. I felt like if I reached out, I could touch it. Jack grabbed my wrist, his grip tight. "Dad," he whispered. I swallowed hard. "Dad." The shadow didn't move. A second later, Dad was awake, and we were out of there. We didn't even pack properly. We just yanked up the tent stakes, threw everything into the truck, and sped down the dirt road without looking back. We didn't talk about it much. We told ourselves it was just some kid, maybe lost, maybe playing a prank. But there was no laughter as we left. No sound at all. We got home, unpacked, and tried to forget. A week passed, and then one night, I woke up to that same feeling, the feeling of being watched. I lay still, my heart hammering, my body frozen under the blankets. The room was dark, but something felt wrong. Slowly, I turned my head toward the window, and there it was, a small, pale face pressed against the glass. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. Its eyes were wide, too wide, the pupils huge and dark. Its lips were parted, like it was laughing silently. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing it to go away. When I opened them again, it was still there, smiling. I don't remember how long I lay there, too scared to breathe. But at some point, the first rays of sunlight touched my window, and when I dared to look again, it was gone. I never told Jack, never told Dad, but I don't go camping anymore, because I know, deep in my gut, that whatever was out there in those woods, it found a way back.